Hello, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where we watch old 16 millimeter films. I'm pre-recording today because I don't feel great. Am I being punished for the April Fool's Day prank that I did yesterday with all the AI clickbaity images and all that? Maybe, but yeah, I'm just congested and I still hurt and I have a fever and just. Bleh. But I still like to show you films. Uh, so today we're going to watch some films from the Prelinger Archive. We've been helping them get things online on their YouTube channel. So first we're going to watch Golden Gate Empire, which is kind of talks about how great the Golden Gate area is. Then we're going to have a short news film where I believe they're talking to a wife of an astronaut. It's NBC footage. Then I think this is an art exhibit called The Umbrella Show, which is kind of fascinating visually. And then we're going to end it with a talk about why sugar was being rationed in the United States during World War II. And it's made by Robert Flaherty. Robert Flaherty did Nanook of the North and did other documentaries. And so this was made for the government to talk about sugar rationing. Um, Anyways, I hope to spend the day sleeping, and I hope to be back live again tomorrow. But thanks everybody for indulging me yesterday with my prank, and we will see you tomorrow. Everybody take care. Bye.
When the Union Pacific rode from the east, Central Pacific from the west, this northern empire of the Gold Gate was born. Despite with solid California gold, it began to enrich the young and growing nation. Gold. In 1848, gold was the word for California. It lured men in an explosion of migration from the ends of the earth with pick, pan, long tom, and cradle. Gold was the key that unlocked the storehouse of wealth that lay behind the Sierran barrier. Miners burst open the mother lode from Mariposa to Coloma, seeking the golden fleece. James Marshall's lucky find in the tail race of John Sutter's new sawmill on the American River can still be measured in terms of the romance of the gold rush. In its old buildings, in its picturesque name, its ghost-haunted towns. Memories of the noisy, happy-go-lucky days of the gold rush still linger in the Sierra mining country in annual celebrations such as the frog jump, which keep alive whimsical traditions started by men like Mark Twain. Each year at Angels Camp, jumping frogs from everywhere are assembled to try to match the exploits of Mark Twain's champion, Daniel Webster. Each frog is allowed 3 jumps, measured by bewhiskered judges. And sometimes it's a little difficult to tell the frog from his excited, over-enthusiastic owner. But these typical early American shenanigans are tempered by a quieter existence, brought long ago by the Spaniards to California's first capital at Monterey. A peaceful, sunny way of life that mirrored the Spaniards' mind. And names famous in the exploits of the swashbuckling conquistadores still sound in the homes and gardens of Soberanes, Abrego, Serrano, and Arroyo. California's first theater opened in 1848 in Monterey, still produces the melodrama that thrilled and chilled the 49ers. Today, the Golden Capitol Dome at Sacramento looks down on a rich heritage, both European and American. Wineries in the Napa, Sonoma, and San Joaquin valleys, with their imported stained glass windows and their carved ripening casks, lend a unique air of old world charm found nowhere else in America. The wines produced from Northern California's wide vineyards recall vintage traditions that were old long before men planted grapes in this new deep-soiled land. Good Burgundy is here, and Chablis, Riesling, Moselle, and Pinot Noir. Methods used in the grape harvest, women pickers using curved blade knives, are as old as the days of Abraham. Yet old-fashioned horse-drawn sledges lead directly to modern conveying systems that carry the grapes to the wine presses. Northern vineyards need only rainfall to water their vines. But Central California vineyards and nearly all of California's other crops depend upon irrigation. Water is today's California gold. Water, millions of acre-feet, held in reserve for future use by gigantic dams like the Shasta. Before the birth of Christ, provide lumber for buildings around the world, given a man with an 8-foot power saw and a 200-foot giant immune to all hazards except old age and falls to earth. Within minutes, the tree is cut into sections and dragged to the mill. Among the fine natural woods, redwood lumber is one of the most beautiful and long-lasting building materials found in this country. While West Coast homes are sometimes constructed of redwood, it is used primarily in the East for interior finish, much esteemed for its beautiful grain and unusual natural color. And finally, that giant which stood majestically tall in the ancient forest disappears in a lumber yard beside the Pacific. The restless Pacific, which provides Westerners with fresh, juicy California oysters between September and April. And year-round is the fishing ground for the gourmet menus, found in the kitchens of Northern California's famous seacoast restaurants. And sometimes is a point of serious discussion among the seagulls. Thousands of sport-loving Californians prefer to catch their own dinners. Here at the mouth of the Klamath River, when the salmon are running, the air is filled with the low mutter of idling outboard motors and the creak of oarlocks, as the sport fishermen try their luck against one of the fightingest fish in the sea. Luck that unfortunately doesn't hold in a rotten net. Oops! There, that's better. But lucky or not, who cares? It's fun to just fish. In the cool coastal valley of the Salinas River, the vast ranchos where the early Spanish rancheros once grazed their herds have been adapted to green farming. In harvest season, hundreds of carloads of crisp lettuce race across the United States toward the salad bowls of the nation. And root vegetables filled with California sunshine flourish astonishingly. The climate of the seacoast and its adjacent valleys is so like that of certain parts of the Mediterranean that immigrants, such as the artichoke, grow better here than in their homeland. Inland, lying at the foot of the Great Sierras, is California's rice bowl of the Sacramento and San Joaquin valleys. From seeding to harvest, rice farming is one of the most mechanized agricultural procedures in the Golden Gate Empire. A procedure that has enabled California to rank with the largest rice-producing states of the Union. The rolling oak-dotted slopes of the Coast Range provide grass for beef cattle. And when the winter snow has left the lofty Sierras, the high meadows offer lush pastures. In winter, sheep graze in verdant, sun-filled lowlands. But the empire of the Golden Gate is much more than commercial fishing, lumbering, cattle raising, farming, and the tourist business. It's the realization of man's most romantic and adventurous dreams. Highways here lead to unexpected castles high on rugged hills. The Hearst Castle, a gleaming apex on the enchanted hills south of Monterey, is a state historical monument that can be described only as fabulous. Treasures from Italy, France, ancient Egypt, Greece, and the whole wide world have been assembled here to concentrate in miniature the great artists and cultural achievements of mankind. Broad stone stairways sweep up from gardens and pools, surrounded by buildings and statuary that once graced the villas and homes of Romans and Greeks long ago. And from the enchanted hills, this magnificent monument looks down on the rugged shore of the blue Pacific. Some of the most spectacular scenery in the world is found where Northern California meets the sea. On Carmel Bay, the unique Monterey cypress is blown into fantastic shapes by the wind. In the Monterey Big Sur area is found the playful sea otter, an animal not long ago believed extinct. And if wildflowers are your delight, spring from the Alpine Sierra to the roaring surf is a burst of glorious color. Here in the once sleepy Spanish town of Monterey, the handiwork of men has added an appropriate touch of New England charm to a magnificent meeting of sea, land, and sky. Monterey Harbor, the first landing place of the conquistadores in Northern California, has served as a haven for men of the sea for nearly 400 years. The sea, the eternal, ever-restless sea, has been the inspiration for writers since Robert Louis Stevenson wrote here. East from the sea, in the busy haunts of men, lie the steep canyons and sharp crests of the flower-clad Sierra in Kings Canyon National Park. And only a few miles from the towering ramparts of Kings Canyon, hidden in the cathedral-like fastnesses of Sequoia National Park, is the quiet land of the big trees, the sequoias, including the champion of them all, the General Sherman tree, the largest tree on Earth, and possibly the oldest living thing in all the world. The Sierra Nevada is more than just a source of water and lumber and minerals to Northern Californians. It is also their playground. In the hundreds of streams and lakes of this alpine wonderland, vacationers find sport and relaxation. The gradual up-tilt ancient glaciers gouged out a narrow gorge, nearly a mile deep, leaving on each side hanging alpine valleys from which Yosemite's many waterfalls leap into space to to join the Merced River below. Nevada Falls and Vernal. The Grand Yosemite Falls, dropping in 2 stages, 1,750 feet. From the eternal snow and ice of the towering granite peaks, over the sheer falls, and through the peaceful valleys, the water returns to the sea. Way for explorers, gold seekers, and settlers, the majestic city of San Francisco is a symbol of beauty and culture. San Francisco, youngest of the world's renowned cities, ranking with New York, Paris, and London. Exciting, vital, gracious, and rich, it is the goal of travelers, gourmets, and merchants from every continent. A big Japanese maru booming for the Golden Gate, outbound for Tokyo or Yokohama, and the luxury passenger ship Lurline, loading for a leisurely voyage to Hawaii. Ships from the east and west trade here, from the spice islands of the Indies to the industrial centers of today's Europe. Freighters from the Pacific Islands, Java, Singapore, Tahiti, and Fiji, from South America. The whole world plies the Golden Gate, a world served not too long ago by sailing ships, like the old Balclutha. Steel ships and American products. These are the ambassadors of goodwill from San Francisco to the rest of the world. Exotic products from foreign lands bring San Francisco a closer appreciation and understanding of her neighbors. Distances from faraway mysterious ports, once measured in terms of weeks and months in the days of sail, are now reduced to days. Perishable products, once the delight only of the world traveler, are now common on the tables of America, thanks to modern handling and controlled temperature refrigerated fast rail transportation. Now, if San Francisco should want additional praise as a great world port, the nearest Navy man will grin and tell you it's traditionally the best all-out liberty port on the 7 seas, or any other place you might care to name. Here on the waterfront, San Francisco's colorful tradition is perhaps best known to the traveler at Fisherman's Wharf, where seafood is caught and cooked by the sons of fishermen's sons. Sidewalk merchants cater to tastes ranging from abalone to squid, or a piece of crisp bass, or freshly cooked crab, hot from a steaming pot, or a giant spiny lobster late of the icy Pacific. The people of the Golden Gate Empire, from Monterey to Smith River, affectionately call San Francisco the city with a capital C. And they have good reason to love this many-faceted, vibrant, cosmopolitan city. Set like a jewel on 7 hills by the bay, bordered on 3 sides by blue water, it is reminiscent of an isle in the Aegean, and its climate is Mediterranean too. But mainly, it is San Francisco. Attached houses like these in the Sunset District are typical. Downtown, the city exhibits a cyclorama of architectural styles. City Hall and the Federal Reserve Bank, whose tall Greek columns flank lower Sacramento Street, to modern American office buildings. Market Street, the east-west dividing line, is the favorite starting point for exploring expeditions that fan out all over the peninsula. Buying flowers at stands north of Market is a daily custom. Everybody wears a flower, especially the smartly dressed women who come to shop or to lunch in the heart of San Francisco's fashionable shopping district that surrounds the city's central meeting place, Union Square. And what other city can boast this unique form of transportation, the cable car? Invented right here in San Francisco because it was the only thing that would carry a man up them ding-busted steep hills. And everybody gets off to help turn the darn thing around. These astonishing streets, steeper than a roller coaster, lead to the great man-made wonders of San Francisco, the bridges. They are the pulsing arteries that connect the Golden Gate Empire with its heart. The San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge carries all highway traffic from Oakland, Berkeley, and beyond, from Sacramento, the Gold Country, and the Sierra. Since the passing of the old ferry boats, this 8-mile-long bridge is the main access to San Francisco from the East Bay. More famous is the Golden Gate Bridge that leaps the strait from Marin County. This steel, with 80,000 miles of steel wire in its main suspension cables, leads in from the wine and lumber country and the Pacific Northwest. But for us, both the bridges are spectacular gateways to unusual sights and color and excitement. Where but in San Francisco's Chinatown could you find old jade carvings being sold next door to lychee nut milkshakes? The Chinese, mainly from Canton, settled on Grant Avenue early in San Francisco history. And although they are among the most modern and forward-looking citizens, they have retained and still practice many of the beautiful old ceremonies brought to America by their forefathers. Ceremonies like this one of ritual prayer at the altar of a temple. Some of the fondest memories of the city recall San Francisco at night after the skyline has been painted gold by a Pacific sunset. Then, under the night sky, it puts on a bright new costume like a dancer before the footlights. Chinatown bursts into brilliant color, and her pagodas rise from a lake of light filled with bustle and laughter. Fisherman's Wharf is ready to serve its discriminating diners until the small hours of the morning. And San Franciscans, to whom good food is a part of good living, congregate in the city's famous restaurants. Dishes are prepared here by chefs whose sauces, salads, and meats bear the honored approval of their brother chefs in Europe. San Francisco, youngest of the renowned cities, of world reputation, stamped with a mixed culture from both east and west, and bearing on her 7 hills the ultimate of charm and beauty. And worldwide shipping, guardian of the Western Gate. It is no wonder that the people of the Golden Gate Empire love their city with a richness that passes understanding, unless you have been there to see it for yourself.
Without it?
Because the wind, this mic.
There's no wind noise now?
Hello. Where do you want to stand?
We can both stand.
Always waiting.
Over to your right, Can we stand you in here?
No.
Mrs. Cernan, are you relieved to know that Jean is back in the spacecraft and can rest a bit now?
Naturally.
I'll bet you
Yes,
are.
it was certainly an exciting morning. I think probably of all the last few mornings, this has to be the most exciting one, and only tomorrow morning will top it.
You were
Were you,
watching and listening on
disappointed at all about
radio
the
and
AMU?
television while he was out of the spacecraft, Mrs. Cernan?
Oh yes, we were watching and of course listening to the communications from the control center, and the coverage was excellent. I felt like we were we were just very well informed.
What
Were
was
you
your
all
first
disappointed at all about the AMU, Mrs. Cernan?
Yes, of course. I share Gene's disappointment. I know how hard he had worked on it and how much he did want to evaluate it, and of course that's just one of those things.
Were you worried at all when all this business about fogging up and problems came through?
No, we weren't worried. I can't say that I was worried.
Did
Were you
Tracy know
worried?
what her father was doing this morning?
No, well, she says Daddy's going for a walk in space, but she doesn't. She's too young to understand.
Mrs.
Mr. Cernan, you
Cernan,
said the
were-
other day that you'd like to see him go up again. Do you still feel the same way after this kind of tense
Oh,
last
yes.
half hour?
Oh, yes. This is his job, Jim. I'm
Did
a
it-
part of it.
Did it bother you, Mrs. Cernan, when you saw the pictures from Mission Control of the heartbeat oscilloscope going up and down so fast? It was
We
reported
didn't know.
180.
No, well, no, because Dr. Berry had well informed me on what probably would happen, and I said, I wish they could feel my heartbeat. It was probably much higher than 180.
What are you doing to relax these days?
I'm not relaxing.
Was there any one minute where you really found your grip in the arms of the chair?
Oh, I think probably from the moment that they opened the hatch, we were gripping the chair and each other. We had several of the wives in, and Roger Chappie was here explaining everything to me as it went along, and it was a marvelous help.
When and where do you expect to get back together with them, Mrs. Cernan?
Well, hopefully next week sometime. I think that the plans are that as soon as the recovery, they have been. Will I be at Cape Kennedy?
So will you fly to Cape Kennedy?
No, I'll wait here in
come back
Houston.
here.
And I think the plans are for them to come right back very soon after recovery.
Do you think that Gene may find life on Earth pretty dull when he gets back from this mission?
I hope not. I'll be disappointed if he does. Be a blow to my ego, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Barbara?
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Cernan.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
When was the last time?
Oh, it was, there you go.
Thank you.
It was, be 2 weeks tomorrow. He was home after the last scrub, after the 17th, and then left on Monday. So it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow.
How many weeks? Two? Good. Thank you. Do it again.
You look through there?
I got that. Thank you.
If you print that, you're in trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 weeks.
Interviewers on that one.
Now what do we do now?
Feel that way?
All right.
Mrs. Cernan, were you relieved to learn that your husband was back in the spacecraft? Mrs. Cernan, did you know?
Excuse me, Ed.
I
Just
blew
face
it.
the microphone.
I blew it.
Just face into the microphone.
Yeah. Mrs. Cernan, what was your feeling when your husband reported it was very hard work up there and his heartbeat was way up? Mrs. Cernan, do you plan to meet your husband in Cape Kennedy, or will he come here?
Excuse me, Don. Try that last one more time, would you?
Mrs. Cernan, do you expect to fly down to Cape Kennedy where you'll meet your husband, or is he coming back here?
All right, now just hold right there. Nod at her. Just keep looking at her. Go.
Mrs. Cernan, were you relieved to learn that your husband was back out of his spacewalk and back in the capsule? Mrs. Cernan, were you watching television or listening to radio when your husband was up there and his heartbeat was so rapid?
I'll be Batman and you can dress up as the Riddler.
On August 14, 1945, our president gave out the news we had been waiting for. Now it was official for all the world to hear. Unconditional surrender. Victory over our last enemy, Japan. From coast to coast, the nation hailed the coming of peace and the return of happier days. One by one, the curbs of wartime were removed. But not on sugar. Why? For the answer, we must go back several years to the days before the war. Pre-war sugar production for the whole world was some 30 million tons a year. The world's sugar came from lands far apart. Cane sugar from Java and the Philippines. Beet sugar from nearly every country in Europe. Cane sugar from Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Cuba. And from our own mainland, Louisiana and Florida. Beet sugar from almost a score of states, reaching from our Great Lakes to the Pacific coast. Our pre-war mainland production of beet and cane sugars represented more than 1/4 of the nation's supply. The rest we brought in from the cane fields of tropical islands. Almost 1 million tons a year from the Philippines. About the same from Hawaii. Nearly 1 million tons from Puerto Rico. And from our largest source, Cuba, over 2 million tons. Our domestic beet sugar production has normally averaged more than 1.5 million tons a year. The sugar beet needs the cool climate of temperate zones for proper growth. The sugar stored in its long white root is identical in all respects with the cane sugar of tropical and semi-tropical climates. We had plenty of sugar until December 7th, 1941, when Japanese treachery plunged us into worldwide war. When the Japs seized the Philippines, they destroyed cane fields and mills, and the United States lost a yearly sugar supply of close to 1 million tons. When Java fell, the world lost another 1.5 million tons a year. Across the world, with most of Europe, including Russia's rich Ukraine, under the Nazi heel, wartime shortages of manpower, machinery, fuel, and fertilizer all but halted production of the sugar beet. The global war cut off nearly half of the world's sugar. We were not fighting the war alone. Our allies had to share with us the world's remaining sugar. Of this available supply, the United States was receiving the lion's share. Here is sugar from Cuba, raw sugar ready for refining. It looks like a lot, yet, although Cuba doubled her contribution to our supply during the war, it's less than we hoped it would be. For drought in Cuba and Puerto Rico in the last year of war cut deeply into the harvest. From a smaller total supply, our sugar industry has had to meet demands greater than ever before. For in wartime, this worldwide commodity became a worldwide problem. Wartime demands brought a challenge to the scientist. He proved that sugar could be used in the manufacture of synthetic tires and other parts of this bomber. Its wing coating, radar equipment, and the plastics on the instrument panel. Sugar entered into the composition of this turret. And sugar's most important byproduct, molasses, went into the production of the industrial alcohol used in the manufacture of these bombs. Enormous amounts of sugar were consumed daily by our armed forces, for Army dietitians knew that sugar meant renewed energy. To these GIs, sugar was far more than a mere sweetening substance that went into the rations they ate, into the cigarettes they smoked, and into their candy bars. To these men, sugar wasn't just something to put into a cup of coffee. To them, products derived from sugar often meant the difference between life and death. The citric acid used in blood plasma to prevent coagulation is made from beet sugar molasses. Sugar is used, too, in making anesthetics, antiseptics, and the surgical dressings with which wounds are bound. From the war's earliest days, every available ship carried supplies for the fighting fronts. The Nazi U-boats, with the sinking of untold tonnage in our merchant marine, almost cut our lifeline to war-ravaged Europe. We licked the Nazi at sea, and we beat him on his home ground. But victory in Europe did not solve our sugar shortage, for VE Day marked only half the job. And liberation of Europe's hungry peoples actually increased the demand on world short supplies. The nation now faced west. The railroads carried the greatest load in their history. Never were our Pacific coast ports so busy. In peacetime, this shipping would be available to bring the products of other countries to us, not the least sugar. But our sugar must wait. For these ships now were speeding men, machines, arms of war, and food supplies to our forces poised on island outposts for the final onslaught on Japan. Our occupation of these islands and of the Japanese homeland itself was preceded by terrific naval bombardments. It took as much as 900 pounds of sugar for one blast from one of these guns. One salvo from 5 guns used up the yield of a whole acre. That was just part of the price of victory. But even the total victory which came with Japan's surrender failed to provide the answer to the world's sugar shortage. For the liberation of the Far East added the needs of its hungry, homeless peoples to those of Europe's undernourished millions, and to the drain on world supply. The demand for sugar is now actually larger than it was during the war. But the world's supply is still far behind the demand. Sugar is an agricultural crop, and it will take time to restore the beet fields of Europe and the cane fields and mills of the Philippines and other sugar-growing areas to their former production. Americans still are receiving the lion's share of the world's supply, but there just isn't enough to meet the demand. As in war, now in peace, sugar must be distributed as equitably as possible for household and industrial uses, and rationing is still the answer. This is the straight and simple fact. We still haven't all the sugar we'd like for our home canning and preserving, our coffee and breakfast cereal, our commercial canned meats, fruits, and vegetables, our soft drinks, our ice cream, candy, and baked goods, because world sugar supplies are still far short of demand. Our government has fitted the ration to the supply so that each gets his own fair share. When there is enough for all, then and only then, rationing will be lifted. Apart from its food uses, sugar enters into our peacetime life in countless unimagined ways. For example, in our steel mills and foundries, sugar preparations are used in certain kinds of molds to prevent the metals from sticking. Products from sugar are used in the compounding of paints, in surgery, in penicillin, in X-ray plates, and in the chemicals with which crops are sprayed. Yes, peace is here, and the things of peace are coming back. In our own country, where living standards are the highest in the world, life will be more abundant than ever. Our government is giving all possible aid to the war-shattered countries to lay the foundations for a better world. Government rationing at home helps us to share the world's sugar with the world's hungry people, that they in turn may help us to keep the peace we now enjoy. Then these, our own, who fought for that peace, will not have sacrificed in vain. Sugar helped in war. Sugar now plays its part in peace. Keep sharing it.